Direct now.
Welcome back to Switzer. Amongst some of Australians there is a perception that the Australian economy is not doing as well as the economic growth numbers are telling us. But reinforcing the optimistic view on our economy has been the extraordinary record car sales of late. And it comes at a time when Australia has an extraordinary number of different car manufacturers operating in this economy. And within those manufacturers, the range of models is constantly growing, and the strongest growth area has been SUVs. And even the internationally high-end manufacturers are jumping on the SUV bandwagon, with Maserati the latest to dive into this car pool, if you like. GlenSealey is the Chief Operating Officer of Maserati Australia, New Zealand and South Africa, and he joins me at the desk. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks, Peter.
What
yourself?
a tough job, looking after Maserati in that sort of term.
Look, it's hard. It's a great brand from a great location, so I really can't complain.
No. Before I talk to you about the history of Maserati, SUVs, what does it stand for those people who've forgotten?
Sports utility vehicle.
Yeah.
And for us, it's an amazing sort of rise in a segment.
Yeah.
When we look at the global market for luxury cars or luxury sports cars, it is now 50% of the total market.
SUVs?
Yes. So if you're not playing in that segment, you're really not commercially viable.
The history of Maserati, just for those people who don't know, where's it come from? And was there a Mr. Maserati?
There was a Mr. Maserati. In fact, there were 7 of them, believe it or not, 7 brothers, and they all worked in the business. Ettore Alfieri was the main brother who really took on the engineering, and they developed race cars. And they built some of the best race cars, and race cars that, in their day, beat the giants. So on their first outing in 1926, they won the Targa Florio.
Was Fangio a driver of Maserati?
He did. In fact, when I think back, Fangio drove a Maserati, a 250F, and actually 60 years ago this year, Sterling Moss won the Melbourne GP in a Maserati 250F. So
what a great piece of history.
It is, it is. We have a good connection with Australia as well.
Well, I know, give the rise of SUVs right around the world, but do you think, in the, the offices of Maserati are they still in Modena?
In Modena, yes.
In Modena, would there have been some tradition to say, we don't do SUVs? We are a sports car company. There must have been a bit of a battle on that subject.
Of course. But at the end of the day, Maserati was a brand producing 6,000 cars a year not so long ago, with aspirations in a very short period of time to go to 75,000 cars a year.
So 6 to 75.
Yes.
And enormous.
And literally, that has to be driven by at least 50% of the segment, which is SUV. Yes. And we've managed to do that. Well, we're not quite there, but we will be shortly.
Why do you think SUVs have become so popular?
In Australia, SUVs offer a high driving position. They offer a lot of value for money in terms of metal for what you get. And today, there is no compromise for an SUV. And our car is a great example. It drives like a sports car, it feels like a sports car, and yet it has the practicality of an SUV. So, gone are the days where you have that that need for a compromise. Really, you can have both today, and that's seeing soaring sales.
Yeah, and it kind of, it does fit that sort of, the younger person who is into sports.
Yes.
The families are into kids and dogs.
Yes.
It just kind of works, doesn't it?
It does. If you've got a situation where you can drive an SUV during the week and enjoy it going to and from work, and then enjoy the vehicle in a recreation sense on the weekend, it's perfect. Or in our case, we'd like them to have one SUV in the garage and a Gran Turismo in the garage.
Levante, is that the correct pronunciation?
Levante, si.
So tell us about the car.
The car itself, it's based on a Ghibli platform, which means it's quite large for the segment. To put it into perspective, it's just about 5 metres long. But the real thing about this is it's not just an SUV. For us, it's very important to say it's a Maserati first. So everything you think of Maserati, then it's an SUV. So when you think of performance, when you think of craftsmanship, when you think of design, and importantly, when you think of exclusivity, all those elements are there, but it does have the practicality of an SUV.
So, are you selling it to you, when you know, obviously you will work at your market, are you selling it to Maserati drivers, or are you selling it to people who've never been in a Maserati, but this suits their profile? What do you think?
Both.
Both?
So certainly...
I'm surprised you say that, Glenn.
Certainly the existing Maserati customers see this as a great second purchase. But importantly, for that volume of growth, it has to come from somewhere, and it's got to come from people who haven't traditionally driven a Maserati. So there are people who've loved an SUV, always driven an SUV, but couldn't get into a Maserati because we didn't offer that sort of product. But now, if they like what Maserati stands for, they can now enjoy that in an SUV.
What's the entry point?
140 grand. So it's very competitive in the marketplace.
Does that make it easy to sell? Looking at your rivals in the market, and just because I like you, I won't name them, but looking at your rivals, is that a good price point for you? Looking
at Maserati, it's a great price point. Keeping in mind that we are an exclusive brand. When I talk about 75,000 cars a year globally, the market's about 90 million cars a year. So it's 0.001% of market. So it's very important to us that we maintain the brand's exclusivity, as it is important to us that the car and the SUV is made in Italy. I figure this is a number you might know, but what is the potential luxury car market in Australia? For the segment we compete in, it's around about 12,500 cars a year. And to put that into perspective, our current segment in Australia that we compete in is 3,000 cars a year. So whilst I was saying earlier, globally the SUV segment is about 50%, in Australia it's 80%. Obviously, a guy like you in your position, you would have key economic indicators that tell you, should I be optimistic, should I be pessimistic, should I ramp up my marketing, all that sort of stuff. What are the economic indicators you're seeing out there now, and what's your view on the market going forward? One of the first ones we always look at is business confidence. Many of our owners are business owners, or indeed they're at the very top end of the field that they're in. So business confidence is key for us, and we watch that and we use that as a strategic measure. So the NAB one, I guess, is the one you look at? Yes, absolutely. And you know, that's actually blipping up at the moment, whilst you've got the Westpac survey saying consumer confidence is down. So there is a difference between business view and consumer view at the moment. We take the business view, so we're seeing the cup half full. Well, I think you're right. Business conditions has jumped to over 12 points, and the long-term average for business conditions, that's what businesses are saying is going on in their business right now, was around like 4.5 or 5, so it's a big jump over. But business confidence did go up despite the election campaign. I know. And that's surprising. Yeah, I know, but when you look around and you see money's cheap, we're on, what, our 25th, 26th year of consecutive economic growth. 25th, We have very stable... Despite the government changing, our policies are generally stable. The business environment is stable. What's not to like? I mean, this is a good economy. It is a strong economy. It is a robust economy. And if you look at the luxury market in Australia, it's also growing with that. And that would be a positive indicator for the overall confidence in the key areas that you're chasing. I mean, Australia has, I think, the 3rd highest median income per household in the world. So... yeah, there is discretionary income to spend on great luxury goods. Well, Glenn, I'm glad all of the ducks are lining up in a row for you as well. Thank you, Peter. Thanks for coming in, and good luck. Pleasure. Thank you. That's GlenSealey from Maserati. Thanks for joining us on the show. I'll see you tomorrow night, and we've got some really, really good guests. See you then.
Welcome on board a new way to experience hassle-free boating. As a Pacific Boating member, you'll enjoy the freedom, the relaxation and sheer fun of boating without any of the issues of owning a boat. In fact, with our fleet of luxury cruisers, you simply walk on, enjoy, then walk off. So to